And we live. Salute. What's good to anybody entering the building? To anybody that catch this on the replay, you already know what time it is with me. We on real nigga time. So do me a favor before you walk in my house, take your shoes off, dust your feet off, sit back and enjoy the ride. And remember to do all that typical YouTube shit, like, share, whatever the fuck they saying these days. My apologies for this morning. I forgot I had 11 o'clock conference call. Forgot all about that shit. But anyway, we back. Um, there's a couple of things I didn't get a chance to talk about in that live, but we going to take care of that immediately. Um, and when I first heard this, because I actually was there in the live stream when it was said, I didn't really think too much of the shit. I didn't think too much of what T Pain said. Only because I understand why he said it. See, everybody and their mama these days have a podcast. Celebrities, regular motherfuckers, everybody have one. And it's a few different ways to get the public riled up. And this happens to be one of them. And I'll explain why I believe that after we run the clip and all that shit. Now explains because it's certain things you can tell when people don't really elaborate. You know what I mean? Also, we're gonna take a look back. Coco, what I do? I didn't do anything. What I do? What I do? What's up, Coco? How you doing? But we're gonna take a look back. We've been doing this thing for like 3 years. Um, and say thank you to all the people that have been around through all the many let's say re of changes this channel has went through, from name changes to content style, because now it's in a podcast format. It didn't start that way. A lot of people don't realize that because they wasn't around um in 2019. So a lot of people don't know that it gradually changed to this style of content. Wasn't this originally? Um, and then we take a little trip back there or whatever. But most importantly, this T-Pain shit. But I'm going to drop this intro, and of course, we're gonna play some tracks from Megazell yet again. I gotta holler at him too. But we don't drop this motherfucking I don't even know whether to call it an intro. Guess we can call it an intro because I'm doing it at the beginning of the show. It's not technically an intro. So let's take this walk with me. And then when we come back, play the bullshit T-Pain and Act was talking about. It is a weird world when the voice of reason is DJ Academics in that particular conversation. But anyway, I'll be right back. Take a look at this. And we live. Y'all with that like and subscribe shit. If y'all fuck with a nigga, y'all fuck with a nigga. If not, it is what it is. I don't really care. I do this for the culture. Creep on in, on in, on in. People need to. Yo, you crazy. Man, there's something wrong with you, yo. Yo, stop, yo. 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 Stop, yo.
Street knowledge, Tony Black. And we want to find out.
Again, people, I was trying not to mute this clown. I was trying my best not to. But what you're not going to do, and nobody does this on here, when people get on here, we have a conversation. Nobody overtalks each other. We have a conversation. What nobody is going to do here, over here, is try to out-talk me or try to create a narrative that I'm not creating. Period. Not going to happen.
Can we please just get to the point?
Homie.
Yeah.
Again. And I'm going to say this again. In order to have a dialogue, we both have to be respectful to each other. So if I'm talking, don't talk while I'm talking. I didn't do that to you. And no matter how in your mind you believe that happened, that did not happen. And everybody watching can contest to that. So don't do that. Because that's not what this is supposed to be about. All right. That dude. But me, the second time, now the first, that was the first time y'all came onto the platform, and salute to him. Because honestly, our issue wasn't really, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't. It was really something that really wasn't my business. I happened to see something that was said about somebody. I was feeling like, for y'all that wasn't around at that particular time, I'm trying to tell y'all, like, anybody that said something about somebody that I was affiliated with, I pulled up on or invited over here. One or the other. It didn't give a fuck where it happened at. We was going to have a conversation. And he did some video about somebody that I was affiliated with. I said something in the comments, invited for him to come over here. The first time he came over, I think because of what he perceived the subject matter was going to be about, he was in defense mode. I was agitated because it took him a long ass time to figure out how to use StreamYard. So I was a little agitated before he even came up there. And then I said something based on religion that just happens to be true. I'm not making it up. It just happens to be true. I'm not even going to repeat it. Don't feel like going through all that shit all over again. But it was pertaining to the term and the terminology of Satan. And I was explaining that people got to remember who wrote something in the belief, in the definition that they was going by when they wrote something down. He took offense to it, and that ended not what I represent over here. The second time he came up, we was able to have better dialogue. Ro came up and played mediator. And when I tell you she mediated, she was even hard on me. Like, your time up. It's like, God damn, you're supposed to be. But anyway, to the reason why I'm here and what I didn't get a chance to speak on earlier is what got half of the music industry upset, multiple media outlets upset, is what T-Pain said about Tupac. And for those that didn't hear what he said, I will play what he said. Give me a minute.
Ridiculously murdered.
Yeah.
Because there's niggas out here for real. Bro, Pac was the crazy lyricist at our time because ain't nobody else have no platform.
Yo, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna disagree respectfully with that, just because look at what drill music is now. Like, fuck lyrics, it's all about disrespect. And when you say, yo, that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If the platforms would have been what they are now, Pac would have got ate the fuck up.
Bro, do you see, you yourself post this shit? Do you see how many rappers die? I'm from Atlanta. I done seen a lot of niggas die. Do you see how many rappers?
I imagine if Instagram and Twitter were popping, like when Pac was like beefing. Like, imagine how entertaining that would have been.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Pac would have got killed sooner.
Yes.
And he would have got his ass ate the fuck up.
Whoa, what?
Hey, yo.
Lyricism wise, Pac would have got.
Now, brain, salute my sister. Now, how you know that it is really nothing to what he said? Because even if you go and watch the whole entire stream, he never really elaborated, right? Because back then, the reason why people love Pac and it's almost weird, right? And I don't mean it in a way of the people being weird, but the energy around it is different. It's nobody in hip hop culture. It's people in sports like Muhammad Ali has that type of love, right? You realistically, and this is me keeping it a buck, right? And a lot of people, you can't say this to a lot of people when it comes to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was great at that particular time because he was more athletic than everybody else. But if we're really talking about pure boxing skills, just watch a couple of the fights. Jab, right cross. Just watch a couple of the fights. I'm just saying. And that's not to take nothing away from him. That's just being realistic. For that time, he was just more athletic than everybody. Jordan. Lord forbid you say anything about that, nigga. But for that time, after all the other old niggas got out the way that he could not beat, which nobody wants to say anything about, after Magic got old, Bird got old, Isaiah got old, after all those niggas got old, it was his turn. He happened to be more athletic than everybody else that was. Now all these motherfuckers are athletic. But with Tupac, it's a little different. People love Tupac because of what they thought he represented. It was a little more than just rapping. It was a little more than just him getting shot 5 times. It was a little more than all that shit, right? So regardless, and I hate the ifs and can'ts. I hate those words, right? But if he was around now, it would be the same type. The love would be ridiculous right now if he was still around. It would be even worse. Now, would motherfuckers troll him and fuck with him on the internet? Yeah. But if Jesus was on the internet, niggas would troll Jesus. What are we talking about here? Nobody is exempt from the internet. The internet always wins. The internet is 100 and something and 0 when it comes to any fucking body. But if we're talking about rapping, this is the wrong time to really be talking about lyricism when you, if you look around at what's popular, just at what's popular, fuck the shit that we like or the shit that I know about. Let's move that to the side. Just the shit that's popular, just the shit that's a part of popular culture. Outside of Kendrick, Cole, Drake, and maybe one other motherfucker whose name I can't think of right now, that's actually moving units and can sell out tour dates and shit like that by themselves. It's a handful. For everybody else, that's a part of popular culture. These niggas not rapping. They fucking talking. Or using auto-tune and half-ass singing, but they're not rapping. They're not showing no lyrical ability. But that's not what made Tupac special during that time. And the fact that this is why everybody shouldn't be qualified to talk about the culture. opinion is one thing, but when you start speaking in the term of where you're making it sound facts, talking about the time frame, for one, let's be clear on this. Let's be really realistic about Tupac, right? From Tupacalypse Now to Me Against the World, which Me Against the World is my favorite album. To that album, it really wasn't no like people wasn't like I think people forget that, but when it comes to everywhere, maybe in certain pockets of the world, Tupac was that guy. But honestly, just look at the albums. A lot of those fucking albums and shit went platinum after he died. So I say that to say T-Pain's point doesn't make no sense. He wasn't dominant in his era. He was not dominant in his era. When he started actually moving units is when he went to death row with a system that was already moving units. The Chronic Snoop album was anticipated like he was Michael Jackson or some shit. People forget that. And Pac came and Suge made them give him all the good shit everybody else had. So you get All Eyes on Me and fucking Machiavelli. And that's when the allure around Tupac actually started, is when he was on death row, not before. While he was on death row. And after he was gone, the love is what the love is. You can't hate on the love, but I don't think and this coming from somebody that's always honest when it comes to the Tupac conversation, to the point where people don't always like it. I don't really care. Like that when it comes to the culture in general, it doesn't matter. When you're talking about certain shit, you got to remove your bias and just be honest. Like I can sit here right now and say, and Nas is my guy. Can't tell me he ain't one of the greatest of all time. But I can tell you each one of his albums that was trash. I can also tell you why he's not really looked at by the masses the way people look at Hove. Only real hip hop heads look at Nas or put Nas over Hove. But most people, most casual fans or fans of Hove, always put Hove at top for the stupidest reasons, because of money. Not because of lyrical ability, not because of none of that shit, but just because of how much money he made, which is the dumbest conversation ever. We're back to the Tupac shit. I don't even know why people so the fuck upset, because it doesn't make sense. If he would have made a valid point, but the minute he said the reason why, and he might as well would have used the word dominate. I'm going to use it. Y'all heard what he actually said, but he might as well would have used that. But he wasn't the guy. Let's be clear. 1996, right? In 1996, and I know some of y'all love All Eyes on Me and all that shit, but in 1996, I was coming home. I came home February 2nd, 1996, in fucking snow. That album was already out. I heard a couple of people playing it or whatever. But where I'm from, you know what the fuck everybody was talking about? Is that in a few months it was written was about to come out. Like that year, he came out, it was written came out, Reasonable Doubt came out, which is the reason why people forget that Reasonable Doubt 96. A lot of shit came out in 96. But again, that's not to take nothing away from it. Could have been different somewhere else. I'm just talking about the group of people that I was around. The project did the numbers that it did, but we didn't look to him for that type of lyrical ability. It's different type, and people got it fucked up when we talk about lyrical ability, right? Because it's different types of lyricists. Rakim is a traditional Rakim, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, that style, and Coogee rap. That style is traditional lyrical. Redman also. That way of rhyming words, that rhyme pattern, all that shit, that traditional way is what people always think of when they think of lyricism. That's only one way of being lyrical, because you can't tell me Scarface is not lyrical. You can't tell me Ice Cube wasn't lyrical. Tupac writing style was structured more like a poem. It's more like a poem, and he rapped it more like somebody giving a speech. So I think people lose track of the actual bar structure in there. They lose track of, and people have this narrative that he said Enemy and Hennessy on every fucking song, which is totally not true. Totally not true. He, and this me being honest, the thing that made Tupac special more than anybody else in the culture is that Tupac understood how to make a full body of work. It is not a MC during that time frame that made a full body of work, meaning a song for the club, a song for the radio, a song for women, and a song for the street. I don't give a fuck what album you go to. He got a song that the women love. He got a song that the streets love. And he got the song you heard on the radio. And he got the song that they played in the fucking clubs. And then content wise, what the fuck are we talking about here? I don't give a fuck how many words. I don't give a fuck how many words somebody can rhyme together. Tupac, not Eminem. He's the rappity-rappingest motherfucker ever. He can manipulate the English language better than anybody I ever seen. But content-wise, I don't give a fuck. Now, it's probably some kids somewhere, some people who lives, they probably look at that shit like, oh, that song really touched me. But he has never said a bar that made me be like, damn, that touched me. That's the difference. That's why people love Tupac. It's similar with DMX. DMX, no matter what X think, because you listen to any X interview, DMX think he the greatest rapper in the world. DMX wasn't lyrical like Hove or Big or Nas or those guys. But he had the ability to make you feel what the fuck he was saying. Motherfuckers watch him cry on stage and ain't nobody fucking laugh. Ain't nobody call him a bitch ass nigga crying. Ain't nobody say none of that shit. Because people understood the why he was crying. That's the part that if T-Pain actually means what he's saying, which, Lord, again, that's why everybody shouldn't be qualified to talk about certain shit. I don't give a fuck if you are a part of the industry. If you don't understand that, is something wrong with you. That's obvious. And that's coming from somebody that's always like, Tupac is in a different conversation. And people always get mad when I say it, and it's not even me disrespecting his legacy. I just don't believe that you put him in the category of greatest rapper of all time. He was a great artist. He was better at creating bodies of work than anybody else. He was a fucking actor. He's a fucking activist. All that shit. When you put all that together, that's what made the nigga special. What none of that other shit. And it would have been, even now, you give this nigga fucking Twitter or some shit, or Instagram, or the fucking YouTube, man, you'll never shut him up. You would never shut this nigga up. Every time a camera was in his face, he was saying something about something or somebody, whether it be politics, whether it be another rapper, he was saying some shit. So you give him this shit. So it's the only reason why 50 Cent, outside of the TV shows, it's no different than he not playing in all these fucking shows. You know what I mean? He's relevant to a generation now only because of social media, not because of power, not because of none of the other, for the BMF TV show, none of them other shits. It's because of social media. And people still fuck with him, and down to the, like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? The whole conversation made no sense at all. Because that shouldn't have been what the conversation was if you're talking about people from one generation being able to cultivate through a current generation. It's not that hard to do. You know how we know it's not that hard to do? Because we currently see it being done, right? I'm gonna use a couple of names. Snoop. Everybody and their mother know who Snoop Dogg is. Old white ladies, babies, they know Snoop when they see him. They know he a Crip. They know he from LA. They know he rap. Doesn't matter what the fuck Snoop do. All right? I'm not including Puffy in that. Move him to the side because he's not a fucking rapper. But he's another one with that household name shit. But outside of that, if we're just talking about making music, we have watched legacy acts make music, move units, and win Grammys in this generation. Nas, King Disease, 2. Won a Grammy. The only Grammy he has ever won since he's been an artist. Happened in this generation. Well, technically, he got 2 Grammys because the Grammy that Will Smith got for the Miami song and Get Jiggy with It, they might as well have gave it to Nas because he wrote the shit. But that's a whole nother conversation. But the Locks, seen the Locks when they dropped their project 3 years ago, move units in this current generation, and that's because we have reached a point in the culture now where the culture is 50, about to be 50 years old. The culture be 50 August 11th. It'll be 50 years old, right? So people have actually came up with hip hop. So now you have 35, 45, 50-year-olds that still love the culture. You didn't have that 10 or 20 years ago. You didn't have that shit. Culture was still in its infant form. Let's say the fucking teenager. But you didn't have that shit back then. So nobody knew what it was like to see a fucking 45-year-old rapper because all of them quit. And what I mean by quit, they stopped making new music. It's every time the next generation came in, those guys sat down. I don't know why. I have no idea. But Big Daddy Kane set his ass down. Rakim set his ass down. Yeah, they still ran around and did all those Rock the Bell tours and shit. But they wasn't making new music like that. Excluding KRS-One. Because he's a fucking nut. He do an album every fucking year. I swear to y'all, I'm not making this shit up. He makes an album every year. So do Ghostface. But KRS-One has made an album every fucking year. Whether people listen to it or not, he even be talking shit about other rappers and he's a fucking nut. But he has done it every year, whether people fuck with it or not. He didn't sit down. The rest of them sat down. As soon as Big and Nas and Wu and all them niggas came in and Redman and those guys came in, they sat the fuck down. That didn't happen the next time around. And the reason why they don't need to make music to target the children. Buster count. I didn't even think about Buster. I didn't even think I don't know why. I didn't think about Buster. Buster been around for a long time. Long time. To the point where you almost forget how long he's been around. Long time. Since the fucking abstract, like the real abstract days. The backpackers and the African medallions and shit. And let's be clear, a lot of them wasn't saying shit neither. Like at some point, we gotta be honest, right? Like De La Soul. De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, we all love them. It's cool. Far Side, and I keep naming a few. And people look at them, those acts I just named, like they're lyrical. They're not saying shit. Left my wallet in El Segundo. Right now, just listen to Scenario. And you tell me what the fuck they talking about. Before they even get to Busta Rhymes. Put on Scenario. Listen to it. And the next time I see y'all or I come back on here, y'all tell me what the fuck they're talking about. I'm just curious. That fucking, you know, a song I couldn't stand was that fucking De La Soul song, Me, Myself, and I. I disliked that song so badly. Dante used to look at me like I was crazy. So did a couple of my family members and other people that I know. I just didn't get it. You supposed to be rapping. These words ain't rhyming, my nigga. These words don't rhyme. You just saying words with a flow. This shit doesn't rhyme. What the fuck is this? I didn't get the shit. I still don't. Now I will say a few years ago they did make a really good album, but they still ain't talking about shit. Let's be honest. So I say all that to say that a motherfucker can be lyrical all they want, but if you ain't saying shit, what the fuck is the point? If you just rhyming words for the sake of rhyming words, and there's no content nowhere in there, there's no rhyme or reason or why you have rhymed this word with that word, then what the fuck is the point? That's the difference if it's a freestyle, right? Because a freestyle ain't supposed to have structure, none of that shit. Just to remind y'all again, freestyling does not mean that it wasn't written. It just means it has no structure. It's something, because, back then, not so much now, but back then, if you rapped, you were supposed to be ready with a 32 or a 16 at any given time, because somebody was going to ask you to rap. If you rap, you can't be standing like, nah, you you supposed to be on go. You supposed to be ready. Now, for the people that did the off the top of the head shit, that's cool. But even in that, that's not showing your true capability, because somebody can think of some shit off the top of their head don't mean a goddamn thing to me. To me. Unless it's done in a way where you actually saying shit. But if you just fucking rhyming words and shit, I'm not impressed. That shit doesn't impress me. The content in which you're saying is what gets me. I'm like that with battle rap. That's why for the people that know the culture and you think about the battle rappers that I fuck with, the reason why I fuck with them is because of the content. The shit just ages better. Just ages better than somebody that's just saying random shit. This is always going to be that way. It was the attraction to gangster rap in the first place. The attraction to gangster rap wasn't because they rhymed words the best. The attraction was the content, the context in which they were speaking, that anybody, anywhere could relate to. Because it was the conditions that most people was walking out their doors seeing every single day. That's why the shit won for the time frame it was in. Because it was a reality for a large percentage of the people that was listening to it. And then it reached the suburbs and, all that shit. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so for what he said, for anybody that's mad about it, you can just look at if you was around then and you aware of the culture now, you know what time it is. It's not even nothing to be fucking mad about. It was not even any context to what he said. He didn't even name an artist that he think could do whatever. That makes no fucking sense. None of that shit made any sense. Any one of them could have been whatever. The biggest question that should always be asked is, would hip hop be the way it is now if those events don't happen? Not if they was around, would they be able to be whatever. They would more than likely be in it. Where they would be, either one of them, whether it be Big or Pac, they would be in similar positions as Nas and Jay-Z. It'd be legacy acts. I can't sit here and say that either one of them would have been moguls or fucking been in Silicon Valley or any of that shit. I don't fucking know. But the position would have been the same with whatever they decided to do. But when it boils down to it, you take those events, anybody that was around when those things happened, it shifted the culture. Right after they was gone, the culture went through a phase where it was almost like niggas didn't want to. Motherfuckers was wearing shiny suits and shit. Nobody was really talking no gangster shit except for West Side Connection. They was beefing with Common and shit. which I think is one of the greatest beefs of all time because it's funny to me. But it got soft, right? And I don't mean it soft in the sense of it wasn't what the early and the mid part of the 90s was when it came to the culture. And that was for everybody that was participating in it, right? And then DMX came along. Right time, right moment. DMX can't say they came along because they was already around, right? But people looking for something to fill a void, now this music moves up. And I'm not saying this is a reality. I'm just giving what my perception is, right? Because they was around, Cash Money, No Limit. They was around while Pac and Big was alive. Ice Cream Man, Master P, first song, that shit was out while Pac was alive. But think to yourself, do you still get a DMX if Pac and Big was still around in the way that we receive DMX? Because think about this, and I'm gonna explain why I say this. See, because that's what you should be able to do. If you say something like this, you should be able to explain why you're saying it. Else you're just saying it. DMX was trying to get a deal for years. DMX was 20, might have been 20. No, Hov was 26, turned 27, or was 27. He had a single deal back in the early 90s, released 2 singles, and all that time, he was trying to get a deal. That shit happened 1997. Here you go. Here come X. Now he got signed in 96. All right. So a lot of people don't realize they filmed Belly before the album was ever heard. A lot of people think he got the role in Belly because of the album. He got the role in Belly before the album, before any of us ever even heard the project. But this is something to think about, something to ponder on, right? Hov. Now, Hov was around. The Wine Sophie days, digging it. Around during that time, doing all the skibbity doop shit. And then he evolved his rapping style. Hey, Dr. Bombay. Oh, here, Deuce. Shay, my sister. He evolved it. I have my own theories on why his style evolved. Nobody ever agrees with me. But and I think the reason why people don't agree is because they think that I'm saying that he copied the people that I'm about to name. It's not that. It's just when the culture shifts, you either catch up or you get left behind. That's with anything. You either gonna catch up or you're gonna get left behind. So when East Coast hip hop shift with 3 albums, I know my theory. Ready to Die, It Was Written, and Into 36 Chambers. Shifted East Coast hip hop. And people can argue that all they want, but just listen to the music before East Coast music, not the West Coast music, because they was already doing this shit. So you exclude them. But on the East Coast, nobody challenged the status quo. as far as the lyrical content, rapping, outside of Coogee rap, all that shit was pretty much what it was. If we're gonna be honest, right? And then those three albums come out, which sounded like nothing from the East Coast at that particular time. Not rapping wise, not production wise, none of that shit. They just sound totally different. Them albums don't even fit the time frame when you listen to anything before them. Just listen to the shit that was released a little bit before them. It don't fit. It fit everything after them. It don't fit everything before them, and even the pool of when it happened. Shit, Mobb Deep was around at that time, and they wasn't rapping like that. They had a fucking booty shaking song. That fucking Juvenile, but that's everybody forget about that shit, but and try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's the reason why Shook Ones is labeled Shook Ones Part 2, because Part 1 was on that Juvenile Hell album with the booty shaking song on it. Profiled artist doesn't transpire. There's no way to tell what will happen, but we can kind of look at the events and see kind of how it went down. Hove was around during that time, like I said. He had reasonable doubt. His second album, when his second album came out, it still didn't receive the love that he was trying to get after Big was gone. They even tried to duplicate. If you don't believe me, you can go look this shit up yourself. You can go watch the videos yourself. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong, but I ain't wrong. If that makes any sense. I am not fucking wrong. That volume 1, him and Dame and whoever was in the production team tried to model that album after what Diddy was doing was big. Even to the point with the Sunshine song, and I said this shit before, they was even waving the Rolexes in the air just like Diddy and Big. But unfortunately, the culture ain't like that shit. Culture ain't. But these shifts happen. They happen all the time. But the reason why I bring it up, the reason why I brought that whole thing up, just to bring it full circle, is because this, what's in popular culture of hip hop right now, is spawned by the success of Lil Wayne. So the era of the littles, all the littles, the little pumps, the little whatever you want to call them, that the labels use to keep the lights on, because they easy to replace, because they all sound similar. And this is not a knock against Wayne. It's just an indication of his impact. You know, like him or not, you can't take away from his impact on hip hop culture. The point that I'm trying to make is that impact, even still there, if those events never transpire. That's the type of conversation they should have been having. But instead, the conversation that they had was a shock value conversation, because they're trying to draw eyes and attention to T-Pain's newly formed platform. That's all it was about. And one of the best ways to do that is to say something to get people riled up, and especially you mentioned something about Tupac. There's a couple of names in hip hop culture you say something about, people coming for you. That's Tupac. Trust me, I know. Somewhat, somewhat. I don't think it's as bad with Jay-Z as people make it out to be. I don't think it's not the same as about. Anyway, that's what I believe the conversation should have been if you was really trying to have a generational conversation, which is really hard to do. Like I hate those conversations. Like I hate the conversation because LeBron LeBron couldn't have played during that time. And if those guys played during this time, they averaged 50 points. Like what? Like to me, those conversations make absolutely no sense. Because if anybody like this, half of them barely was scoring 30 points. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Like what? But anyway, that's my 2 cents. To me, it ain't no big deal. It's obvious what it was to me. Only because he didn't elaborate. And now the other half of that, to end it off, he said Pac would have died a lot earlier if he was in this shit. Huh? That's another mistake. Cause the shit with Pac had nothing to do with Big. Nothing at all. What happened with Tupac had nothing to do with Big. That had everything to do with politics and being involved in something that he shouldn't have been involved in. And nobody wants to say that, but I will. Because nobody stopped it. It's no him or Suge should have never been in that situation in Vegas that got caught on camera. Like what? Now, granted, if I'm gonna be honest and put it in his full context, got to think about how old Pac was at the time. Still young. But the fact that the people that was with them allowed them to put themselves in that situation, regardless of what happened, either way, even if that doesn't happen that night, and I mean him getting shot and leaving here, he's going back to jail. He's going back to jail. The bail would have been revoked. All that shit. He was gonna go back to jail. He hadn't even received. I honestly think people forget that he was out on bail for the rape charge. I realized they revoked bails and shit. I'm just saying, he done went back to jail. Nobody thought about none of that shit. So I say that that particular situation had nothing to do with hip hop or the climate of what the drill music scene is, as small as it is, because it's not as big as people make it out to be, as the media make it out to be. But the deaths are real. And as I told y'all before, and I'll say it again, in every state, it is a small hip hop scene of local artists that do shit and rap about it. And originally, none of that shit was meant to be mainstream. It was some shit that they did for the neighborhood, their block and shit like that. It happened to be what it is, but this shit is everywhere. So anyway, again, there's no context to the conversation. Conversation made absolutely no sense. As I said, anytime DJ Academics is the voice of reason, something wrong in the world. You know, I would expect almost academics to say something like that. But T-Pain. But I was value. I think it was platform. That's why he was academic stream. Personal is I don't really believe a lot of this shit. A lot of this shit I just don't believe because of what people are willing to do for the world's new currency, and that's attention. People will do just about anything. People will fake adopt a belief system just because that's the hot thing to do. Somebody will portray themselves to be this or that. People will portray themselves to be a conspiracy theorist and not. Just because it brings an audience and attention. And they don't know what the fuck they talking about. They just regurgitating some shit that they got from another platform. And figure if I presented to these people, they don't know because they ain't watching this shit. And it'll look like it's new coming from them, and it's not. Shit damn near 10 years old. But anyway, before I get out of here, I want to say again, I mean this from everybody that was here back in 2019. It's not currently here anymore. Everybody that stuck around through that time till now, salute. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Everybody that donate when they can, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? But we back now, back to normal schedule of 3 shows a week. So I'll see y'all in a couple of days. And I'm on leave the same way I came in. And that's with a look back for those that missed it of some of the moments that happened around here from 2018 on. And I'm going to upload the second one on the channel just as a video upload. But y'all be easy. And remember, please, everybody, if you can, anybody that for the people that's here and anybody that run across this, Megazar album dropped a couple of weeks ago. I think it's a really, really dope project, a really great project. And y'all know how hard I am how hard I am on pause. That sounded crazy as fuck. Y'all know how hard I am on rappers and shit. And I ain't saying this because that's the homie or nothing. He already know. He know I would have told him if it wasn't what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? But it's a dope project. Y'all can listen to it on YouTube. and on all the other streaming platforms. I think I put it in my community tab, but if not, I'll check when I get all it. But please go check it out. Go take a look at it. Um, Listen to it. Support it. It's needed. We like to say it's not no good hip hop out here, and we don't go and support the people that's actually making and sticking by the tradition of trying to put everything that they can into what they present to the people. Like Coast Contra, it's a sin that a lot of people don't even know that they're around, and they got a pretty large fan base. But every time I keep introducing it to people, people don't know, and there's plenty of artists like that, and that's just because of the way that we consume music. You know what I mean? Like somebody can have fans from all over and have about 100,000 fans that love them, support them, and they can survive off that without you ever even knowing they exist. That's why it's important for us to stop pushing that narrative out there that these things don't exist just because we don't see it. You know what I mean? But y'all be easy. Take a look at this. Some of these, hopefully, y'all was here for. The second part would be more for the shit that y'all was here for. One of my favorite shows was a show about the teacher lady that presented herself to be black, and she was like Jewish or something. I can't remember what she was. But when you see the lady, you could tell we had fun that night. Oh, his Deuce had me fucking cracking up. We had a fucking ball. That was one of my favorite fucking shows. But anyway, y'all be easy. I'm gonna play this. Play the song from Megazord. Y'all be easy. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. Enjoy y'all weekend. You know what I mean? And remember this, right? I put this in my community tab that that feeling, and I'm gonna say it differently than I wrote it, but that feeling um that we get from indulging in, whether it be food, whether it be whatever your vice is, that feeling that makes you feel good is not to be taken for granted, because that is there. That reward system is there for you to feel good about doing shit. So if you want to really feel good, do something with your motherfucking self. Best feeling in the world. Accomplish something. Doesn't matter how small or big. That type of high never goes anywhere. That shit feel good. You know what I mean? But anyway, I don't want to get all preachy. Salute. I'll catch y'all next time, all right?
And we love. Oh, with that like and subscribe shit. If y'all fuck with a nigga, y'all fuck with a nigga. If not, it is what it is. I don't really care. I do this for the culture.
Creep on in, on in, on in.
People need to. Yo, you crazy. There's something wrong with you, yo. Yo, stop, yo. 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 Stop, yo.
Street knowledge, Tony Black. And we want to find a village.
mob vicious, nigga, y'all know what this is. Make it all, Ever done, nigga. This shit for the streets, nigga. Me and my niggas done lick shots, even didn't hit cops. Me and my niggas done lick shots, even didn't hit cops. Me and my niggas done lick shots, niggas screaming fuck the ops, nigga. Me and my niggas